Alright, hello and welcome to another modern stream. Today's Monday. We have some pretty good results to analyze for from the weekend, which is pretty cool actually. Amulet and Titan decks had a pretty solid presence over this weekend. We have the results. These are from the Modern Challenge, and then these are from the Modern PTQ that took place this weekend. So the challenge took place on Saturday, and it was won by Ad Nauseam, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, we have, of course, the this has been kind of like the deck that really dominated the weekend. We had the soup decks, the Omnath, Ren, Teferi, like the this gross Field of the Dead decks that have been all over the place in the format for a while now. But they did really well over the weekend. And this is my boy right here, House of Mana, playing good old faithful and actually taking it to a third place finish. Pretty sweet, pretty sweet. This is the list. I think that it's almost, if not, yeah, I think it's just the exact list that I wrote the Cyberguard for, with the exception of the Kozilek. I don't have the Kozilek in the sideboard, but everything else is pretty much the same. Oh, and House has a second Baloth. But yeah, but everything else is pretty much the exact list that I wrote the Cyber Guide for. But it's this list has been pretty good. This list has been pretty good. It has been performing very well for me. It has been performing really well for Jack as well. So this is just work put into the archetype, kind of finally having some pretty sweet payoffs. Not, I don't think there's too much to say about the list. It's just solid. It's pretty good. I think that 3-turn Timber has been the sweet spot for me. I have been enjoying this card a lot. I have been liking this card a lot. I have been even experimenting with mono green lists. I'm kind of sold on playing Gridwire Reclaimer for this weekend, so I'm probably not gonna be tuning or testing too much stuff for Amulet. But I have been experimenting little snippet here with a mono green version, which I thought could be interesting. So basically, the idea is by going mono green, we get to max out on turn timbers, which is as I'm saying right now, the card that I was really impressed with. Oh, thank you from the recruit. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, this is where I would start with a mono green list. One thing that's pretty sweet that I'm trying here is going up on basics. Basics are really important right now in the current metagame because of the uptick of Field of Ruins. And most importantly, Cleansing Wildfires. Everybody is jamming Cleansing Wildfires. Every single red deck that used to play cards like Fulminator Mage or Pillage or stuff like that has now moved on to Cleansing Wildfires. And Wildfires it's kind of good against us specifically. So I think that going up to a 5th basic forest, of course, to go along with our fetch land, it's something that has not been experimented or really discussed anywhere that I have seen. So the idea here is we are not going to rely so much on the Tolera West aspect of it. Like, the Tolera West is just the engine for after you resolve a Titan. So you see that in order to make it so I have access to more Titans, I am playing the 1 copy of Primal Command. So we have access to more Titans through the turn timbers and through the Primal Command. And now, instead of having the breeding pool that I honestly never really liked, like, I would play it, of course, because of Castle Gernberg, so you kind of have to play the breeding pool, but it kind of never had crossed my mind to just like ignore that aspect altogether and just say, okay, fuck it, I'm just not gonna be playing anything like that, and I'm just going to be jamming These are my 6 blue sources. We have no Pact of Negation, so we have no real requirement for blue sources besides the T-West engine, and the T-West engine is enabled by the Titan itself, so it's kind of cool. This looks much cleaner than Chuse's list. I don't like For Dismember at all. I don't think that you can play For Dismember. I was considering a 3rd copy of Dismember, but that's about it. And I still would rather have more explosives than Dismembers in the current metagame. And Tracker, I honestly think the Tracker is just not good. Like, I think the Tracker used to be an answer for a problem that we had, which was, of course, the Aethergust problem. But now Omnath basically blanks Tireless Tracker. I think that since the printing of Omnath, and now that basically the best, as we're looking at right now, the best control deck in the format is an Omnath deck instead of being something like, I don't know, like Jeskai Wildfires like we played on Friday. Because this is the best deck in the format, I just don't think that that Tracker does anything. This deck just doesn't care at all about Tracker. Like, you just play a Tracker and they're just like sweet, okay, here's a Omnath. What you got? It doesn't really work out too well. So this list is kind of trying to take all of those things into account, and kind of like I'm trying to build it with those, trying to take those things into account and acting accordingly. If we go mono green, would it make sense to go up to 4 castles? I was thinking about it. I was thinking about the 4 castles, but if we go up the 4th castle, then we're kind of missing the whole point of making this change, which would be to maximize on your forests, and you kind of want to keep some consistency here, right? Like, you need to make sure that you have, I have 6 forests right here and 3 castles, which seems probably okay. I think that if I were to go up to the 4th castle, I would cut the 2nd Valakut, for example, or something like that. But I kind of don't want to do that, so I think I'd rather maximize on turn timbers before I maximize on castles. So yeah, that's my thought, Apriolo. I actually like the 2 covers, by the way. That's not standard in stock list at the moment. I think that it is. Just lost to Spike, he got so lucky with Gust rips. Yeah, I mean, you're just gonna lose to Gust. Big JC is kind of what you're signing up for, right? But yeah, how's it going? Alright, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah, we're talking about Jack's list over here. And yeah, I think this list is pretty sweet. This is probably this is the safe list, I guess. But the mono green one is the one that I would be testing to kind of, see what's up. But you see that Jack is actually playing 2 castles, right? So with this mono green list, I am actually up a castle as is already. Anyway, so moving on, we have some. This one I was actually pretty surprised to see. Bedlam Reveler. Prowess. This is not one that you really see that much anymore, because usually the new prowess lists are playing Obosh, so I was surprised to see this one. Not that surprised, because like this deck is still what it is. Like, this is probably the premier aggro deck in the format, and this is the premier mid-range aggro deck in the format, I guess. Of course, Lurrus Shadow, that is. This is just kind of like a pretty stock list. Maybe the one of Crocsai not stock, but everything else. I'm basically just never surprised to see this deck top 8ing. Then we have, yeah, it actually made me pretty happy to see this. The one and only Shock Trooper, man. It's been, I have no idea how many years. And every now and then he just shows up and he just like top 8s a challenge, which is really funny. And always Mono Blutron, obviously. Why would he ever play anything but? And this is the mono red, the red green deck, which I thought it was kind of like old school. I had seen a list by Yama, and Yama has been playing more Chandra's Torch of Defiance. He has been playing more a second copy of Renan 6. only 2 Glory Bringers, and this list is just like from, I don't know, like a year ago or something, which is pretty interesting. But like it speaks to the power of the deck. I don't think there's nothing that wild really. And then mono white taxes. So the top 8 in this event was actually super diverse. We have one of each archetype, which is pretty cool, and we kind of have everything going on from control. The only thing that we don't see is like a Tron deck or something, but everything else was covered, which is cool. And yeah, this is the thing. It might look like Mill is actually making a sort of comeback. But yeah, besides that, everything else is pretty much the usual suspects. It's just more of what we just saw in the top, um, in the top 8. Damn it. You hit Mill 3 times? Yeah, because you had a 1 sideboard card, of course. Musasabi with the Sahili deck. Laplacian obviously on Devoted Druid, and this is Kurusu, the Yorion Kiki Court player. Anyway, so that's for the challenge. The PTQ was won by Bernas Torres, who's apparently a Portuguese player, and on second place, hell yeah, Freed Mania. Same exact 75 as Jack. Both of them worked together on putting this list. So no surprise that they're playing the same 75. But yeah, just Amulet doing pretty well. We also have this one, which I thought was an interesting deck. It's basically like John Shadow, but this has Brushfire Elemental instead of Hex Drinker, which honestly I thought it was a lot better. I did not like the Hex Drinker in the John Shadow decks that have started popping up lately. I don't know. I just don't like that card. It feels like it's super underwhelming. Like I understand why it's there. Like it makes sense why it's there, but it just feels like it just doesn't do enough. It just feels like it doesn't do enough. So having like a Brushfire Elemental Red and 6 plan is kind of sweet. It allows you to push through damage. We actually played against Grixis deck playing Scourge the other day on stream, and it just felt so bad. If you're not putting pressure on your opponent when you're playing Scourge, the Scourge is just dead in your hand. So whatever it is that you're doing, you need to make sure you're pressuring your opponent. So Brushfire Elemental is kind of great in that sense. It means that your Scourge might come down a little bit later, but it guarantees that your Scourge will be big. So I actually really like this, and I thought it was a very smart approach to it. Because if you play Hex Drinker and your opponent plays I don't know, like a 1-mana 1/1, they play an Arbor Rifle, and you're just like, well, there goes that. So you're still very likely often not going to be playing your Scourge on turn 2 anyway. So might as well make sure that by the time it comes down, your opponent can't kill it with Lightning Helix or something. So I did like this approach to this deck, and I think it's very smart, and I actually kind of like it. I kind of want to play it a little bit. All right, moving on. Another Piles deck. As I was saying, these decks were all over the place. This one really goes off on Omnath, and it has the very interesting addition of Time Warp, which seems like kind of the nuts for the mirror match, which I thought was kind of interesting. It feels like this list would be pretty favored in the mirror match, playing the most important Placewalker in the mirror match, of course, because it's the one that comes down the earliest, and it's super impactful. It guarantees that you never miss a land drop, etc. Ren is, whoever resolves the Ren earlier is super far ahead in the mirror. And then 4 Omnaths with 4 Time Warp, so you can very often do, if you play Udo or Growth Spiral on 2, on turn 4 you can play Omnath, you can play a fetch land, and then you can just play Time Warp immediately, and then you're going to be hard-pressed to lose that game if that ever resolves. So I thought that this was a pretty cool innovation that happened this weekend, and this deck actually did pretty well. Then we have blue red. This is the deck that you lost to, Jack, right? That you lost to in your winning in. Just like good old blue red prowess, which is a deck from from a while. But yeah, I mean, list from like 6 months ago or something, but somehow it just run well. That is what this deck does, right? Like if this deck runs well, it looks really, really powerful. When they go turn 1 Swift Spear and like turn 2 Stormwing Entity, this deck look busted. And then they don't have that, and this deck looks extremely underpowered. So I guess that they just had good draws. See Cheerhe, however you pronounce that name, they just have good draws throughout the event, and they managed to top 8. Here, then we have Soulstrong, which played my 75 and managed to get top 8 in this event, which was pretty sweet to see. There are a couple of things. Even though this is my 75, I guess that Soulstrong didn't actually watch my stream where I said that I didn't think that Tireless Tracker should be in the main deck. So they run with it anyway. Still, Soulstrong said that they actually had one of the matches that they played where they faced main deck Blood Moon, and being able to call for Tracker actually ended up winning them that game. So that's cool. Like, at least he wasn't punished. But yeah, Adriano did very well with the list, which is pretty sweet. And we're kind of starting with this one, but then making a couple of changes, which I'm going to be showing you very shortly. Then we have another amulet list. This one is pretty different. This one is similar to what Mistaken had been playing, with 2 Uros in the main deck. I don't like this list personally, because I just don't really like Uro. But also 1 turn Timber. Like, no, like let's just play more of this card. Why do you only want to play 1 turn Timber? That just seems bad to me. But anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan of Uro in Amulet. I have not even been playing it in my 75s for a while now. So this is just Inuixty. I think that they are a member in the Discord and stuff. So congratulations to them. And yeah, this list has some things that I don't really like the 3 trackers. As I'm saying, like, I don't think the tracker is very good. But anyway. Still, it served them pretty well. Finally, yes, of course, Scapeshift. Out of all the Uro piles to be playing, this is the actually fun one. This deck I actually do enjoy a fair amount. So I'm actually happy to see that Uro is being put to good use. Which is pretty sweet. This is a pretty sweet list. I haven't played Scapeshift in a while. Like, the last time that I played Scapeshift on stream was when Yorion was legal, and I went 14-1 on stream. And then I played an event on the next day, and of course I immediately O2 dropped, because that's how it works. But yeah, this list is pretty sweet. We're not doing the Yorion thing anymore, which honestly doesn't surprise me too much. But we are doing the Uro thing, however. And Renan 6 is nuts in this deck. Renan 6 is so good in this list. So honestly, I'm surprised that we don't see a 3rd copy. But yeah, this list is sweet. I love me some Ren. And then we have Splinter Twin. For those of you that want to unban Splinter Twin, what are you even talking about? Splinter Twin is clearly legal in Modern, right? Right? Almost. But yeah, it's probably not good, I want to say. Maybe I will try it for Know That Enemy at some point, but I don't know. It's kind of cool that they are playing the fetchless boil-proof mana base that Aspiring Spike has been cooking for his Breach deck, so it's pretty cool. More Uro piles, again with the Time Warp innovation. I would not be surprised if we start seeing a little bit more of this, because of, people taking for the mirror, obviously. So not rare to see Time Warp there. Another Ad Nauseam. I'm wondering what happened that Ad Nauseam is all of a sudden back on the map. I don't really think I have an explanation. Maybe it's because Titan decks are on the rise, so Ad Nauseam starts to prey on Titan decks. Anyway, another deck with like Laplace Gens. So what's the name of Druid? Another Druid deck, Lurrus Druid. Bedell with another version. Rodney has been doing really well with Green White Reclaimer as well. And he was trying Tangle Flora Hedron and Knight of Autumn in the main deck. He was saying how he would like to have access to another Skyclave Apparition in the main, which I think is defensible. This card is very, very good. I have been enjoying this card a lot in the current meta in particular. Again, killing Omnath, killing Uro, etc, etc, etc. I think Omnath being a part of the meta just means one of the 5 Ad Nauseam players did well. Yeah, exactly. But like, we didn't see Ad Nauseam for a while, and then it wins one event, and then it top 16s the other one. And considering that there's not that many Ad Nauseam players, kind of by definition, them doing well is always interesting, right? Because it probably means that the list makes sense. I amazed where you went over my list. Yeah, I talked about it earlier, Fried. Tell me why it's better than houses. Damn. Anyway, so yeah, so this is interesting. This is interesting. The 2 Forces of Vigor are kind of puzzling to me. Rodney, if you care to explain this, especially with like the main deck operations, Force was one of the first things to be cut from my list. I'm not even playing Force anymore. Vigor kills Dryad. Yeah, I was going to talk about that in a second. Okay, so that, I guess that's why. And the oops decks that don't exist anymore. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Does it kill the oops decks? I have not have Force of Vigor do very much against the oops decks. But anyway. Love it. Love it. What is 5-colored Nev with Golos? Oh, I love it. I really want to spin Golos in this deck and flip 2 Ring 2 Lights. Anyway, another Uro pile, and finally another Uro pile. So this one with Wilderness Wreck is interesting, but this is the other approach to Uro piles, by the way, which is more with black instead of white. So we're not playing Omnath, but we're playing stuff like Factor Fiction. So this deck is less of a tap out version of the deck and more of a play at instant speed version of the deck, which honestly I kind of like. This one's straight up bug apparently, and this one has a red splash for Ren and 6. I feel like I kind of would like a red splash for Ren. Like, this card is just too busted to not be playing. Anyway, so that's for the intro, and now we're looking at the list. So this is where I'm starting off my my testing for this week, preparing for this weekend's showcase. I feel like Path to Exile, Reclaimer, like this deck just has a shell, right? And that shell has some cards that you really cannot cut. I consider Call, Reclaimer, Primeval Titan, Path to be the actual shell. So of course the 4 Flagstones, and I want 4. I never want any less than 4. Those are the building blocks. That is the base, and that will never get changed. Oh, and the 4 Dryads. I think that 1 apparition is the minimum that you can play, but I have been super happy with 2 apparitions. I could even see playing another copy, but let's keep it like this for now. Springblow Druid I consider to be stock. I don't think I will ever not play a green-white list without Springblow Druid. This card consistently impresses me, and I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon. This card is very, very good. Steve also does show up every now and then, so I've been happy with the Steve as well. Explore and Gracer are 2 question marks. I am not a big fan of either of these cards, but what I do know is that I want something that can speed up my game plan, that can give me some ramp. So this is... I'm doing a split. Maybe I should be doing 2 Explorers, maybe I should be doing 2 Gracers. I don't know. But yeah, this card is either great or it's completely unplayable. So if it's in your opener and you don't have a reclaimer, this is fine. But if it's a top deck on literally any other turn, it's just bad. Is Explorer better than the second Steve? Yes, because eventually you run out of fetchables. We only have room for 6 basics. So between Steve and Springbloom, you do actually run out of fetchables because very often you want to fetch for one of your basics on turn 1, particularly when you're on the blind that you don't know about what your opponent's on. So yeah, if you want to play Reclaimer on 1, you very often just go fetch for a basic. That's 1 less, so you only have 5, and then between Steve and Springbloom. Springbloom basically gets a lot of basics out of your deck, so. I think since you have Dried and only 1 bounce land, you run out of lands to play quickly, and Gracer is much worse than Explore. That's possible, but I'm playing 33 lands in this list, so that hasn't really shown up too much. Again, what has shown up, or when that has happened, is when I top the Gracer on like turn 4 or something. And then this is just like a terrible draw assist anyway, so it's not like it's a terrible draw because I played all my lands. It's just a terrible draw because it's just a terrible draw. So for that's kind of what it is. Florahedron is an early play. Yeah, I have not tried Florahedron. I tried the Mammoth, which I actually did like. I did like the Mammoth a lot. So I was definitely considering the Mammoth. The Florahedron, I don't know how much I like. I guess that your opponent is going to be killing your Reclaimers, so maybe they're out of removal by the time Florahedron comes down. The problem is that Florahedron is a 1/1 and Renan 6 is really, really popular right now. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about Florahedron. Like a 2-mana 1/1 that your opponent just plays a Ren and pings it is not something I'm particularly excited about. So I think I'd rather play like a Mammoth with can pressure my opponent at least, you know. And their final 12, brand new subscriber with a Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much and welcome to the Primetime Stronghold. I appreciate your support. Alright, as far as the mana base goes, nothing too crazy. I have been liking the 6 fetch lands a lot, so this is kind of what I'm at, where I'm at. As I was saying, 6 basics because I will never not play Springbloom Druid in my decks. 4 flagstones, 2 fields, 1 cavern, 1 castle. This could be no caverns, 2 castles. But I don't think I would ever want more than 2 castles. And honestly, just 1 castle has been kind of enough for me. So yeah, this is kind of like the flex slots in the deck, really. Everything else in the mana base is kind of written in stone for me. If we're playing bows, so you have to play Sacred Foundry. Scatter Groves is probably the worst line in the deck, but it's not bad enough that I would like to cut it. And the reason why this is much better than Vista is that if you are not using the mana, I am very often just fetching this at the earliest convenience. And when it matters, which is on turns 1 and 2, Vista also comes into play tapped. Vista is the Tango land, or however people are calling that. Oh, it's not Vista? What's the name of the Tango land? It's Canopy Vista. It was a Vista, yeah. This is the one that I'm talking about. So it enters tapped on turn 1 just the same, which is where I want it to enter untapped, and where entering untapped really matters. And if you can often just fetch for it and get it out of the way, just cut it, take it out of your deck often. It's there because you want a different name for Field of the Dead whenever you are getting your lands from Flagstones. So yeah, it's been fine. It's definitely the worst line in the deck, but I feel like the extra name for Field of the Dead comes up more than the downside of entering tapped on turn 1 or 2. And again, you can often just sequence your land drops in such a way that you can get the tap land out of the way in the early game. The sideboard has 3 Purges, 1 Winds of Abandon, and 1 Dismember. I've been thinking about it, and the main reason for playing Winds is because of the uptick of the this deck in particular. So you want an answer to Mind Sensor, and you want an answer to Dryad. And for the uptick in the Taxes matchup. So because of that, actually instant speed is better than the sweeper effect. Yes, there's also the humans matchup as well, but the instant speed actually seems more relevant than the fact that you can overload it in the late game. So because of that, I wanted to test the split and kind of see how things go. But this can be the difference between winning and losing, right? If you're playing against like Mind Sensor or whatnot, and your opponent flashes in a Mind Sensor and respond to your Reclaimer, you can just, with 1 mana of any color, you can just dismember the Mind Sensor, and you just outdo what your opponent wanted to do. So I think that I do like Dismember a lot. The downside of this, obviously against the shadow decks, right? Of course, Dismember becomes dead against the shadow decks, and Dismember also becomes dead against the prowess decks of sorts. I'm still bringing in Dismember against prowess, but it's gonna be worse than Winds of Abandon probably the vast majority of the time. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm on this week, I want to like kind of balance and try out the different cards and see which one I like, what works and what doesn't, and then act accordingly. Collector Oof and Tectonic Edge are here. These are the cards that are the most sus, but I think that now more than ever, these cards are more important, particularly Tectonic Edge. Tectonic Edge has been pretty good in the mirror match. Particularly because you want to be cutting some lands like Cavern of Souls or whatever. So because you want to cut those lands, but you still want to be hitting your land draws, particularly when you're on the play, you can use Tectonic Edge to kind of undo that. And Tectonic Edge can actually keep your opponent off Titan, which is something that Ghost Quarter really cannot do. So yeah, I've been liking Tectonic Edge. Also, it really helps the Tron matchup. So you can Ghost Quarter early if you're developing your mana with Reclaimer and Flagstones as well. You can set up a Tech Edge turn. And against the Money Pile decks as well, Tectonic Edge really doesn't work without actually giving them the option of staying even on mana. You can actually put them behind on mana, which can be pretty huge. And of course against Scape Shift and whatnot. Collector Oof here mostly for Tron, but also, as I was saying, I want to target the Taxes deck. I think the Taxes deck is actually a pretty tough matchup for us. So Collector Oof helps a lot because it stops their Aether Vial shenanigans and also stops their equipment. So Collector Oof has been pretty good in that matchup specifically. Also against Ad Nauseam, Oof is a pretty sweet tutor target to have access to. Gadok Teague is meh. Gadok Teague is definitely on the chopping block. It's good against Tron because it stops Karn and stuff from coming down and Ugin, but it doesn't stop Oblivion Stone, it doesn't stop Walking Ballista, it doesn't stop Ulamog. So Teague is like okay, but it's still not it doesn't lock out the game. Your opponent still has a lot of outs to it. Same thing against Eldrazi Tron. So Teague is like okay, like I'm willing to continue playing it, but if I get paired against like the soup decks, for example, I'm not even bringing in Teague because I don't think it's worth it. Mind Sensor, Eidolon. Mind Sensor is honestly now more important than ever with the Mirror and Amulet becoming so prevalent. So I think that Mind Sensor is pretty big game right now, and I think I would like to play at least one Mind Sensor. Maybe we can potentially try to make room for a second one. Dismember I already talked about. Eidolon, it's pretty obvious, self-explanatory. Boil also pretty self-explanatory. Your opponent has islands, you want Boil. Tracker is here for the mid-range matchups, but mostly for the kind of Taxes decks and like John decks and stuff, more so than the control decks. I would still bring it in against control, but as I was saying, I just don't think that Tracker is the end-all be-all that it used to be, unfortunately. And finally, Knight of Autumn. This card has become more important because of the Scourge decks. Being able to gain 4 out of nowhere can be a huge deal against the Scourge deck. So Knight of Autumn makes an appearance. That's a lot of talking. That was 40 minutes of me talking. Jeez. Anyway, let's try it. And this hand is no bueno, so let's ship it. This hand is very bueno. I think I'm gonna mean there's no covered planes because we already have double white. Sure. Let's get a basic forest. I don't really know what my opponent's up to just yet. Yeah, we got twin. Having twins is great. We also have apparition, so if my opponent plays a turn to a Ren or something. Twin! My opponent also doesn't have a growth spiral mana, so that's good for us. A single turn across better than green white sage main. What is green white sage? Udo's fine. Have an answer. Would someone mind explaining the one Gracer seems to be in open hands, but having one copy just doesn't seem significant? Well, yeah, Flip, that's kind of what I was talking about. Like, it's there. This is, again, usually what happens. This is the first land that I go get. But, yeah, I mean, if you have 0 in your deck, there's just no way that you can draw it, right? But against the aggro decks, Gracer can be pretty important. The card I mentioned, the Pass for Life. Well, Skvonsiak, so comparing Explorer to that card just doesn't make sense, right? Like, it's two completely different cards. Am I supposed to bog here? I think I'm supposed to bog. This puts me a little bit behind in land drops. But it gets rid of the Uro, it denies the Ren value. I think it's worth. White, white, and 1. We're gonna play Apparition. Attempt to kill the Ren. We get to cast turn Timber next turn. Remand. Well, now this is interesting. Because I think I actually want to Dryad here. We could have played Apparition, but I think that I'm better off just playing a Dryad. Dryad played Ling and got matched twice against Surpass and twice against Dinopass, followed by Nazi 2021. Man, I think that... I mean, yes, but also no. We got Symbiosis. We might be playing against Scapeshift, which is it's certainly a bad matchup for us. This is 5 mana, Our Promise. If this is Our Promise, then this is not Scapeshift, obviously. Oh! Fuck. Damn, son. Well, I think this is what we do. Quinoc with the tier 1 sub, coming back for 9 months. Thank you so much for the continued support, Quinoc. Really appreciate it. Welcome back to the Prime Stronghold. Yesterday I played versus G-Tron, who had Natural Tron and Karn every game. I think Ursa's Tower might not see 2021. Also, that just made the decks that played it much better than the rest of the meta, and I don't think anyone disagrees that the card accepts the hammer. Yeah, I think that this card should be banned. That doesn't mean that they're going to. Oh yeah. The good old fetch, put Remand on top right before we're gonna sack the Emrakul to the trigger and shuffle the deck. Not the tightest play I've ever seen, but certainly a play. Unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to sack here for this and this. Clear the Ren. And we're gonna have to beat some Sombos. They just Emrakul me, but I'm not dead. Like, they need more business. They might just have Cryptic Command and we're fucked, but... Like, if I draw... what's his name? Raminap. We're super in it. Maybe we're not so in it anymore. So if they have Cryptic, I'm going to lose. I guess I could have played Apparition. Maybe just the blocker was fine. So we block, we sack this, we go get... Udo and Emrakul the same day. Yeah, I am skeptical about my opponent's deck. I am skeptical about their deck, let's say. We're not dead here. No, we are dead to Cryptic Command. Oh, the Random Fountain is in the graveyard, so I guess we are dead. Alright, so we won these. We won this. And I guess Mind Sensor is not too hot. How do you feel about Eidolon? How do you feel about Eidolon? I think I don't like Eidolon. They didn't show me too much as purge targets. They showed me Ren. Maybe they have Ashiok, so let's do this actually. We have to cut a land. Just castle. Yeah. Alright. Teague plus what? No, Teague is not good against this deck. If your opponent can just bolt the Teague and be done with it, Teague is not worth a card. We're keeping this for sure. Just because Teague sounds like it's doing something doesn't mean that you want it in your deck. A 2 mana do nothing is not what you're looking for. Yeah, I think Arcing would have been okay, but I don't think I want Eidolon. This hand is a key, but for sure if my opponent has a Lightning Bolt on 1, could be a problem. Hits removal. Yeah, but I don't want cards in my deck that just hit the removal spell, Tugno. That's just not how you win this kind of matchup. Sideboarding cards that just trade 1-for-1 with your opponent's removal. That's playing exactly into your opponent's game plan. Like, that's literally what they want you to do. Don't kill me, please. Sweet. We might get got by Gust here. I don't think I'm too worried about that, though. Particularly now that we drew Steven. Suck here. Scattered Grooves. I think I'm gonna get another Fluxus. Now that this resolved, it means that even if my opponent gusts, I'm just putting this on top, so we're still on the same spot. Ooh. That's really interesting. So am I more interested in getting a second Reclaim? I think I'm more interested in getting a second Reclaimer going. Steven will have to chill for a second. Also, this is so much better against Remand. Yep. Good, got him. What we have to do here, I'm very interested in just main phase fetching here. Maybe I shouldn't have fetched Shock considering that my opponent's playing through the breach somehow. Oh, no second land? Oh, wow. Well, this game is over. Get another Flagstones. Whew. I guess there's no need for me to show them. They're probably going to figure it out considering I just show them a Sacred Foundry, but when I'm playing the most greedy mana base, yeah, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look particularly great, if I'm being all that honest with you. Udo, let's go. No land. Gonna get one more Flagstones. And now we're gonna get Field. Now we have 8. Oh, sure. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. Sure, I guess this is a 2-turn clock, right? So whee! I think that's gonna be a concession lag. It's not like we needed to hit there, right? we were doing fine for ourselves anyway. Okay, so one mana planeswalkers the way it should have been printed. Yeah. Yeah, literally, Reclaimer is very, very good. If your opponent doesn't have like the turn 1 bolt or push, and you manage to have the combo assembled, it just wins by itself, which is very, very impressive for a 1-drop. It's basically Deathrite Shaman, in that sense. In the sense that it's a 1-mana threat that if your opponent doesn't immediately answer, they're just gonna lose to it. Any chance you play the Titan post list in Legacy one of those days? I doubt it. I doubt it, but I have played it in the past. This hand is just not keepable. This hand also not keepable. But note how Turn Timber actually makes me think about it a little bit more, right? Because it actually it's a threat. It's a card that it's also would be a land in this situation. Keeping the cards that probably are going to warrant me the most value. Well, now I'm not feeling so strongly about that anymore. You say why Galactic is enough in the matchup? Because it just trades for my opponent's Lightning Bolt, which is exactly what they want. My opponent wants me to be playing cards that are trading 1-for-1 for their removal spells. That's what this style of deck preys on. Should I learn something and maybe not fuck up again next week? Did you make any mistakes, Adriano? Were there any mistakes that you saw? Four mana for Jace. Okay. I kind of want a Dryad. Feels like whatever I get needs to be something that can answer this Jace. Skyclave? Sure. Actually sounds good. We're gonna... This is the most obviously telegraphed. But in this matchup, the cavern actually does matter. So this is gonna be the most obviously telegraphed boil of all time, but like my opponent still has to respect it. Kept a pretty bad hand game 1 versus Samuel game 2. I chose to play Tech Edge on Bounce Land Mind Sensor over Titan. And then they had land packed, found Titan anyway, and also found another Bounce Land Forest off the Titan. Oh, okay. White, apparition. Kill that. Pass the turn. So if they have, what's his name here, that will be a problem. But if they don't have Breach plus Emrakul, I think we're going to be fine. Some of Unlock plus bad play. Yeah, I mean, you, by playing badly, you are allowing yourself to get unluckier, right? The better you play, the less unlucky that you get, in a way. You are affecting the part of luck that you get to affect. I'm definitely upkeeping them. What's up, Team Plasma Gus? How's it going? Don't breach me, bro! Ugh. Am I just getting slow rolled? Feels like I'm just getting slow rolled here. Fuck. Okay. We can't beat this. Obviously, they are left with a 4-4, so... Funny that I think that my opponent's deck was bad, because I think that Breach plus Emrakul is exactly the kind of stuff that that deck in particular does not want to do. Like, having dead cards is kind of a problem for that archetype. But somehow having that, it's the same as, you know, like playing a more... It's the same as the difference between playing a more consistent deck versus playing a more like powerful deck, right? And I think I'm just gonna bottom this, but yeah, we actually lost because of that. Like, if my opponent, instead of having that, they had like our promise and that kind of stuff, I think that we would have won that game. That match, honestly, because both games came down to the Breach Emrakul. So it's pretty funny how... I mean, it's not funny, it's just like what my opponent was trying to do, right? Like, you're making your deck worse overall, but you're giving yourself access to a boosted power level. It's similar to what when I played... when was this? Last week? When I played the Omnath and Uro in this deck, and we saw both things. We saw how the extra boost in power level helped me against this kind of deck. And then we also saw how I was making my mana worse, because... and my deck was also being worse as well. Seems terrible against... I think I'm actually pitching the Titan here. The reason for that is that my opponent's gonna be able to answer it eventually, so I might... This saves me the damage from the Croxa, and this also... Well, it's like almost like I knew. Oh, I should have played Blast Zone, because I might have a 1-2 uptick. That was definitely a mistake. Definitely should have played this. Punt. I was saying something and then I stopped saying that something. Anyway, whatever. Must have not been important. Thoughts on Harrow as a one-off? I'm playing Springbloom Druid, which is strictly better Harrow as far as this deck goes. Oh yeah, Tarmogoyf Croxa combo. Ooh. Something about decks being more powerful. Yeah, that's... I was talking about how I played that deck last week, where we were playing all these cards that were more powerful, like Udo and Omnath, against this kind of deck. And how they might... Like, there's a cost to playing those cards, basically, is what I'm trying to say. My opponent's just feeding my blast zone, huh? We're totally gonna top deck. Ooh. Yeah, I think we just have to do this. They're gonna get back Roxanne, they're gonna kill my prime time, but at least I'm gonna get to blow up their 2-drops. I'm gonna die to this illusion token. Did Omnath seem worth it as a one-off? No, it didn't. Neither Omnath nor Uro. Both of them feel pretty bad. Which makes sense, right? Because the cost is just absolutely massive. So they got Croxa anyway, why not blast on them? Because it puts me behind the land drop. Right? If I'm behind the land drop, I'm fucked. Yeah, my opponent played well there. If I blast on them, I'm not getting to Titan, so we actually have no outs here. We're just dead. Give me them purges, Winds of Abandon. This is definitely one of the matchups where I'm gonna be bringing in Dismember, but I think that this Dismember is gonna be just worse than Winds, obviously. Go Squatter. I want probably all my removal. We're 32 lands here. We have to got 3 cards. We don't need to worry about Ashiok because they have Lurrus. So that's not really an issue. I want Steve, I want Druid. Why Dismember? What does it kill? It kills Dryad, Mind Sensor, and Leonin Arbiter, hard instant speed. That's why. Based on what we're trying to kill with this matchup, with this deck, I mean, I think that Dismember might be better than Winds of Abandon. Maybe they don't reveal the rules. Yeah, I know, Tagno, but I also, you know, have to assume the logical thing. And Ashiok is definitely not worth Lurrus. If they were playing Black-Red and they didn't reveal Lurrus, but they were playing Bloodmoon, like that's a really impactful card, right? Ashiok is not worth not revealing Lurrus. Bloodmoon is. Excavator, turn Timber, and explore Cavern. What? Oh, the cuts, you mean? I was thinking about cutting Cavern. Maybe Excavator is worth cutting. The problem is that in this matchup, my opponent will have... they probably will have the Wildfire. So Excavator is kind of not awful. Also, speaking of not awful, sounds pretty nutty. Cavern Steve. I kind of like Steve in this matchup. Like, if my opponent's not playing Path to Exile, right? So I'm probably not gonna be running out of fetches. Oh, fetchable, sorry. Even if my opponent kills this Reclaimer here, we can call for Spring Bloom, which is pretty sweet. Play your Sharn to shut off Mishra's Bubble. I mean, yeah, we can. Terrible draw. What's overall better, Trontimir or the Mammoth? I don't know. That's why I'm testing. That's the whole point. I don't understand playing Scourge. Like, what if I just don't attack? Right? Decay my dude. Sounds good. If I just don't attack, my opponent didn't shock, and now their Scourge is gonna be... It's weird, right? Like, Scourge is actually kind of weird in that deck. So we get Field of the Dead here. That dies. Oh. Well, I was gonna go for that one. I guess I still call for that one. We don't show them the castle just yet. But now we can beat Thoughtseize now. Has your charm been hugging all of the bad players' attention? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, Sharn has just simply felt not modern power level. It's good in Legacy because it answers other cards, but... So let's get Blast Zone and Valakut. We're not triggering field anyway, so we could get Bog, but like it doesn't do anything. We're just fine. Inquisition resolves. 104.38. You might be interested in this rule, opponent. It's called 104.3a. Hogging because it's a boar. Oh, wow. One thing I have to say is that my chat has the best puns. Like, just top tier puns. Top tier puns all around. We got Surgical OP. Better have Surgical. Field of the Dead. And what, Radiant Fountain? I guess we just get a fetch. This is the issue with Scourge in this kind of deck. This is what we were talking about earlier today. Why I was saying that I did like the whole Brushfire Elemental thing is like my opponent was on the draw and they were not able to attack because I was playing stuff like Reclaimer. So I forced my opponent to Abrupt Decay on turn 2 instead of deploying their Tarmogoyf, which meant that they were not able to pressure me, which meant that even if they did have a Scourge, they literally cannot play it because I'm at 20. I mean, they can play it, but they will just die, so... this is what I've been finding about the Scourge decks that have been popping up, and it's just like, that card is not very good when you cannot play it reliably earlier in the game. Would you say we over here are titans of comedy? Yes, yes, I would say that. Sendo007, thank you for the follow. Yeah, you can Cleansing Wildfire my land. Yeah, this is what I was saying about, you know, this deck actually playing a bunch of Wildfires. Tony Ramis, thank you for the follow. It's definitely the prime place for some good humor. To be fair though, I have not been impressed. Like, playing this deck, my opponents have Cleansing Wildfired me a lot, and it hasn't mattered all that much. Particularly out of those decks. It matters more when your opponent's playing like a Jeskai Wildfire decks, right? That's when things get a little bit tougher. But yeah, I'm gonna give you this end. But if you're just, I don't know, if you're just trying to get there, on Wildfire, like, especially when you're playing a deck that plays like what, like 19 lands maybe? 18 lands? It's kind of tough to leverage. Did I fuck up here? I think I might have actually fucked up here. Why didn't we board the tracker? Because my opponent's playing an aggressive deck, and I don't think I want to be playing tracker, so my opponent might just race me to it. I definitely don't want to pitch the lands, and I kind of don't want to pitch Steve either. I think I'm just pitching the Purge, which feels very wrong, but I think it's kind of what I have to do here. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, Adriano, the reason to do this is to play around my opponent having discard though, right? Because if I go for that line, right, if I play either one of these on turn 1, yeah, I think actually I made the correct play. If I play either one of these, and my opponent goes discard spell, and they take my Steve, then I basically get time walked. So I think it was actually correct. Like, I actually went with the correct play. Just gonna go get a Dryad here. Oh, I'm an idiot. Why did it do that? Can go for Reclaimer and play it now that we have 2 calls. Because we can call plus Dryad next turn regardless. Sure, that sucks. But if they don't have a land, this is actually pretty good for me. Yeah, alright, sweet. That's a Titan. Sure. So we're gonna do this. And my opponent's gonna need double Thoughtseize to win this game. Green, white. We could also Spring Bloom instead of Dryad. Spring Bloom allows me to hold field in hand to play around my opponent's Kroxa. It also allows me to chump the Goyf. Huh. I don't need a Dryad to win this game. You have the link with Ura Piles with Time Warp. Just Google Magic Online deck lists, and it's the first link that shows up. Small helicopter. Shouldn't we play fetch to protect him from all? We couldn't. We only had one land in the graveyard, so playing the fetch wouldn't change anything. Do you think this version is better than green, blue, red, normal one? Green, blue, red, normal one? No. That's... If you're talking about Amulet, then both decks have nothing to do with each other. Amulet, yes. Yeah, it's just different deck. I like this one better right now, personally. But I don't think it's better necessarily. I actually think I'm going to go for Springbloom here. I don't think it's wrong. And I'm regretting, I didn't want to expose the field to a wildfire. But like I could actually be getting an extra trigger here, an extra field trigger right now. So my opponent needs double Thoughtseize. Because if they Crocs on me, I think I'm just going to pitch this field. To play around them having an answer. Definitely taking this chump here. No need to make my opponent's Scourge just big. If they play a Scourge, we can just chump. We can just block it, kill it. We can just Radiant Fountain and kill it. Yeah, if this is their play, I think this game is now over. And if they sack this main phase, which would be wrong, we even get to bog them for value, so they can't even do anything with this Lurrus. Unless they have another bubble. That's cute, opponent. That's very cute. That is very cute. That's a wasted surgical extraction. They denied me of my draw step, but my draw step just did not matter, so... Also, the cracking right there is 100% a mistake. So we're just gonna bog plus get a second field, and this game is kind of over now. And we could get double field too. I think getting bog sounds exciting enough to me. And I want to field now because now they have shown me surgical. We're done here though. They could have like feed the swarm, kill the Titan into Thoughtseize, and then we still kill them with zombies. I wouldn't say the decks have nothing to do with each other. While their strategies may be different, they have similar toolbox elements and similar finishes. The only thing that they have in similar is the Valakut and the fields, right? But what the Titans do is very similar. It is very different. The lands that you're getting, and oftentimes very different. Like a lot of things are very, very different between both decks. Do you have another surgical? Yeah, I don't know what we're doing here, honestly. Let's do Vesuva and I guess a Blast Zone. Definitely attacking here. My opponent can jump. They can block profitably here, but it just doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, Amulet cannot win without casting Primeval Titan. This deck very often does. Like, this just closes the door faster, but you don't need to cast Prime Time to win. Yeah, Rodney, so you say that it was not wasted, they hit me for one card. Like, that's objectively true, but that's not practically true, right? As far as the game goes... Oh. That's not a card I was expecting. It's also not a card that matters. But definitely not a card that I was expecting. Oh, I missed lethal. Whoops. Whatever. Why do it? Oh, God damn it. I misclicked there. Okay, now I'm totally gonna get punished. My opponent has another lightning bolt here. God damn it, I'm an idiot. Fuck. I misclicked. Why is Virulent Play the best Kate card versus this deck? That's cute. Opponent, why are you giving me lethal? I didn't have zombies and I didn't have waste 2% lethal. Now I do. Sweet. I guess mistakes were made on both sides of the field, huh? I guess mistakes were made on both sides. Maybe they thought I might misclick again. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Sure. Wildfire is just gas? Yeah, I know. All familiar. Thank you for that follow. They thought I had no lands left. I showed them more basics in the previous 2 games. Like, I actually had all of... I cast Springbloom last game, so I just have literally all of my lands, all of my basics. They knew I was missing one of each. That was pretty funny, though. It's just like, I don't have lethal. Well, now I do. Mistakes were made, but fortunately we were far ahead enough that it didn't matter. How else could I misclick so badly? My opponent really, really overestimating me. Yeah, we can't keep this. On the draw against unknown, opponent keeps 7. This is a good hand. It's not like insane or anything, but it's okay. I think I want to bottom the Vesuva just because I want to keep the Vesuva in my deck. Fuck. We're not ready for mill. Most definitely not ready for mill. Means it wins some super strong since Cyborg. Yeah, I mean it has its matchups obviously. It has its matchups. And it has other matchups that are not so good. Oh shit. What about a single bounce land to return double face lands? There is one. It is to return like the stuff that gives you an effect. It also, the bounce land allows you to have infinite. I mean, as many triggers as you have land drops with Valakut and Field of the Dead. So yeah, one bounce land is always going to be there. I'm thinking about just main facing this. I think I have to. All right, no, what's his name is good for me. Maddening Cacophony. At least I didn't have a crap start, so. Blood Chief is Thirst. Sounds good. I think this card is pretty sweet. I think that card is pretty sweet. Fuck. It's no good. That is most certainly no good. Drawing 2 paths when your opponent is on a no crap draw. Definitely path in here. Gonna get Snow Covered Forest. So now we can Titan next turn if we find it. Blood Chief is over push. I think my opponent has both. Glimpse. Yep, it's getting ugly. There goes Raminap. Another one. Shit. Are both fields gone? Only one field is gone for now. But the Raminap is gone, so I think that we're probably gonna die here. Ruined Crab. Just gonna path on upkeep. Can I use my musical expertise to explain to us why Bill Dipperly is the best song ever made? Well, the good thing about Bill Dipperly... Tarvin Fosh, thank you for the Prime sub. Welcome back to the Primetime Stronghold. Thank you for the support. Now the Shelllock Isle is finally active. it talks about something that is very, very relevant to the human experience, which is I can't riff on that. Yeah, we're just dead here. Second field gone. We pack it in. Back on reclaiming, that's from here. Love the deck. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, deck's great. Okay, so this tracker, Knight of Bottom, Mambo Mick Jumbo. Thank you for the follow. Dismember sounds good. Path is pretty rough. I might need to bring in some purges because of Ashiok. Do you like Mind Sensor? It's got that bullshit. Okay, let's go with this. So they're snapping your fingers, yeah. Keep. Trying to envision how the upcoming turns are going to be looking like. Can I leave this Rune Crab active for a couple of turns? Or do I need to path it right now? Ramping my opponent does sound like a pretty big deal. I think I'm going to path the Rune Crab on upkeep. With what land would I replace Cavern? Cavern is actually a bad land in this deck because you just have way too many creature types, so it's actually not good. So you can replace it with like another dual, like a Temple Garden or like Canopy Vista or something like that. You can replace it. I would recommend replacing it with some untapped green source. Oh fuck, they have a second one. Yeah, we're super dead. Always follow you at YouTube because I find myself comfortable with your schedule from Italy. Yeah, I mean, it's... welcome to the stream, Mambo, Mick Jumbo. It's something that is just unavoidable, right? Like I have to stream at a schedule. I have to stream at some time, and that's going to be uncomfortable for somebody somewhere in the world. It's just the way that it is. But yeah, thanks for checking out the YouTubes, at least. They have not been doing anything, so I have to assume that they have something here. I'm gonna bite the bullet to find the second field. Maybe they're surgical in response. Oh, they shocked. Sure. Sweet, no field. Let's get that second field in there. Yeah, they have the archive trap, of course. Is that enough for me to be dead? It might be, actually. They're down on cards, though. Ramming up is gone. I can't cast anything. Brutal. Alright. We got wrecked by the second crab. I think we would have been fine without the second crab, but with then having the double crab opener, it's really tough for us to beat something like that. Both Valakas are gone. Again, Raminap is gone. You hate Gaia's Blessing in this deck? I mean, if you want a bit mill, that's what it is. Period. Anything else that you can play in this deck is worse than Gaia's Blessing. As far as beating mill goes. I guess this is just the bigger body, so... Yeah, if you want like a slam dunk versus mill, like that's what it is. We can get surgical here. Crypt Incursion. We just cannot raise that, right? If my opponent has absolutely nothing. That's 6 Titan attacks. Oh, yeah, okay. Let's just back it in. Why did you not call for Tri-Builder so you have your 5th land drop guaranteed? I don't remember what the situation was, but I think that my Tri-Builder was already gone. So yeah, mill is basically unwinnable for Titan decks unless you have one card in your sideboard to make it unlosable, kind of. It's just the nature of the matchup. So no big surprises there. Maybe I should be playing a Blessing, because mill has kind of been doing fine lately. And mill doing fine probably means that it warrants the 1 cyber slot. Haven't seen mill in so many leagues. It's been doing well in the weekend events. This hand is awesome. It could be a little bit better, and this is what I was saying about Cavern being actually pretty bad in this deck. You don't have many ways to reset it, but you have like a shit ton of creature types, so... Zombies? This matchup has to be very good for us. Think that it leaks, you kind of don't want it. I mean, I'm honestly not sure. Yeah, this opener is what we call the nuts, I think. So here we fix our mana. We're gonna get a Valakut. Now we do this. Boom. And boom. Sack this. Yes. Get a temple garden. And here we can get... I guess I just get a second Valakut, huh? And then we kill this and this first. Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, shield. Actually play this matchup on paper a lot, or is it kind of noticeable with that kind of opener? Yeah, I don't think there's anything my opponent can do to win this game. I think this game is just this is just over. Yeah, my opponent agrees. Opponent is savvy. Opponent is savvy to the existence of Rule 104.3a. CVA Wrath, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Welcome to the Primetime Stronghold. Thank you for the support. Turn 3 double card, Blackhead turn 4. I was not gonna have turn 4 unless I drew an untapped land, but yeah, I could have. Oh no, I guess I did have a castle, huh? Yeah, turn 4 Titan. Gross. So gross. Yeah, I don't think there's that many decks that can beat that opener, to be honest. Maybe like Ad Nauseam or something like that can beat an opener like that one. Maybe Money Tribal. Wait, what? Why am I bringing in Knight of Autumn? I wanted to bring in this guy. When did you become so good at pyramids, John? Have you just been practicing for years, just a devotee of the pyramid lifestyle? Fabio Daleks 93, thank you for the follow. Shaveland. Man, I'm not familiar with the zombies matchup, huh? Or blue black walkers, like like Spike calls it. Blue black walkers. Sure, let's do something like this. Turn Timber replace what exactly from Last Spin Reaps? The main deck tracker. I thought that the main deck tracker was pretty bad, so I wanted to cut it. This hand is not very good. This hand is better. I guess we keep this. We can't bottom the planes. Let's bottom the fountain. Why Dismember? Because the cards that I am the most excited about killing are... the cards that I'm the most interested about killing are Dryad of the Elysian Grove and even Mind Sensor, and it's better to have instant speed answers to those cards. And also it's good to not give your opponent's lands whenever you can. Is my opponent a minuser? No. Good job, opponent, not minusing. Let's do that. And now we can Blast Zone. Exile that. Also good Wizard. Yeah. It's not a random thing that I just chose. It's not a random decision. Actually, some thought was put into it. Yeah, sure. Let's attack. Because I can't block it, so I don't think my opponent's going to take this trade. You can Titan next turn, thanks to that Vesuva draw. Okay. screen. Good old 1-2 bracket. I think Spike went 10-0 on stream with this list. That's why we see my opponent probably playing it. I think I want a double field here. We already have a Valakut. Yeah, let's double field. Oh, I should have attacked, because I'm probably not going to be blocking. Giralf, Messenger. Well, now I can block, so that's nice. My opponent shouldn't have main phase that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Spin the wheel. Another Titan. I guess I'd rather Dryad, because this is just lethal. Yes, sealed. Oh, I guess we don't have the Suva. That's still lethal though. We made one land drop. GG's. Turntimber is so sick, yeah. Turntimber is pretty good. That was a fast match. I don't think my opponent has any shot ever. As long as my deck functions. I think that my opponent kind of made what was correct, which is like play for Ashiok being good. But, you know, it's... Ashiok is just not that good against this deck, which is one of the strengths of this deck versus Amulet. So we just have so many answers to Ashiok because we get to play Purges and stuff. Oh. I guess we're playing this deck. So this could be... This could be the Blood Moon deck, or this could be the Ice 9 deck. Probably is the Land Destruction deck. Wildfire their own thing. That's fine. Why Edge over Field of Ruin? It maybe you get it doesn't put you back on land drops because I don't care about in the matchups I want Tech Edge for. I don't care about being that back on land drops. I care about putting my opponent behind on land drops, which Field doesn't do. If you're playing against Scape Shift, I understand what Field does. It's not that I just it's not that I just randomly said, oh, look at this card, Tectonic Edge. It seems like the best option available if I wanted to. Like I know what Field. I know that Field exists. There's a reason why I'm choosing to play this Tectonic Edge over Field, and it's because I want to get my opponent behind on land drops. Gideon of the Trials. Sure. This engine is really powerful. This engine is super powerful. What am I doing here? Am I playing Steven? Yeah, I think I'm playing Steve. Why not a castle? I guess I could have gotten castle. I'm trying to get field going. But just prime time would have been a faster way to get to field. Yeah, that I just fucked up. Yeah, I should have definitely gone for castle. I love how Reclaimer like straight up invalidates my opponent's strategy. Sure. Gonna call for Dryad. So we call for Dryad, we do that. Call for Dryad. 1, 2. So I guess I have to... If I want to have a Reclaimer activation, which I do, I have to Steve right now. No, this is not Iron Garbage. This is a different form of... This is a different form of not very good land destruction deck. So I think I care more about the triggers than the zombie token. Sweet, so... So we get second Valakut. I was trying to play around Path to Exile. I think that this is fine. Yeah, I guess I doubt that my opponent has Path to Exile. So this is just better. Just go face, and we have lethal. This is the Amulet that can beat big mana. It might be. I mean, I guess it's probably okay against big mana. It's just not particularly great. I have not been impressed by that list. Like, I've been beating it very consistently, and like, if you're not beating this deck, like, what the hell are you beating, right? If you're a land destruction deck that cannot beat ramp strategies, like, what are you doing with your life? I actually think I want to cut Dryad because my opponents, they're very likely going to be on a boil plan. Please hear me out on this. How do you feel about Emeria Sky running for this deck? Ain't some next level hipster Bruin? Think it's worth shot? Fetch it with Reclaimer, EOT, and get Tribal. So the only way that, as you probably won't be surprised about, it's not the first time that anybody has suggested that to me. And my answer is always the same thing. The only way to get that going is if you have like a shit ton of lands in play and your Dryad is alive. And at that point, why the hell are you not fetching for Valakut and just winning the game? Just don't get cute. Just play the better card. I played Hall of Heliod before Emeria, and I would still not play Hall of Heliod. Man, this hand is close, because if we find the green source, this hand actually really, really does the thing. What about the amount of style points that you get from Maria? That's a different story. I think I was just gonna ship it. Okay. Reclaimer. Easy. Let's play Foothills to play around my opponent's land removal. It really sucks because both of my lands are kind of awkward here. Both of my lands CTV tapped. Just one more time where Scatter Groves really punishes me here, which is unfortunate. I think I'm gonna Teague. And I don't think my opponent's playing Moon. So this means we can't get Nahiri'd unless my opponent answers the Teak first, which would need them to time walk themselves. Also, how does this work with Boom Bust? Can they still cast Boom Bust? They probably can cast Boom, but not Bust. Thorn of Wrath, thank you for the raid. Welcome everybody from Thorn of Wrath stream. That's pretty good. How is the stream? What are you up to? What were you up to today? Interesting. Pretty good one. Played some Ant Storm in Legacy. Sweet. Storm is sweet. I played Storm on stream once. We went 4-1. It was a lot of fun. Definitely not my deck though. I fucked up so badly with that deck. It's really tough to pilot. I guess we upkeep this because of Mana Tide, I guess. Do you do this poor player to make them hate your lands? What did I do? I beat them game 1. That's what I did. Cup Games, thank you for the follow. So happy that 2 Amulet players made top 8 at the PTQ, plus House making top 4 in the challenge. Yep, it was a pretty good weekend for Amulet. Did a little bit of analysis at the beginning of the stream. Sure. You're gonna have to kill me, opponent. That's exactly what I was hoping for. So now we can call for Raminap. I guess we can call for Reclaimer. I actually like that better. And then we use the second call for Raminap. Because if I miss my land drop and I just time walk myself there, that's definitely not a good time. Got a Gideon. Want to plus on my dude? Sounds good. Ugh. want to play that one. That actually puts me behind, so... Yeah, definitely what I want to happen is... Calling for Mammoth is the play. No, still calling for Raminap is better. But I'm in no rush because this is not that good of a clock against me. So I can still just take my sweet time developing my mana here. Barman with the tier 1 sub. Welcome back for the 6th month in a row. Thank you so much, Barman. Thank you for showing me the light. Friend, primetime, this is the way. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. My opponent has 2 cards in hand and they're doing nothing, which means that the chances for Boil are pretty high. Actually, it's pretty unfortunate that I sided out one of my Dryads and we still somehow managed to draw all 3 of them. I'm gonna copy my opponent Cascade's Cataracts. Okay, now I think I'm gonna have to go get Raminap. We can't call and do the thing on the same turn, which kind of sucks. We have a field already in the yard. Yeah, let's do this. I think I'm gonna try to not cast these Dryads. Which is pretty bad, honestly. But not playing around Mana Tide. There's my field. Your go. Unless they have an answer to Raminap, they're gonna have to plus Gideon on it. Ha! Called it. I would not be surprised if my opponent has another one in hand. Wrath of God is fine. They're gonna have another Wrath. They're gonna need to have another Wrath, is what I mean. Cute. Let's get Valakut just in case. And this is the problem with you bring a card like Boil against me, and like it's just so easy for me to play around it. Like if I wanna beat Boil, it's just not that tough to do. They're gonna need to have another Wrath, or otherwise I think that we're gonna win. But like if they did something like cut, they cut rats for. If they did stuff like cut rats to make room for boil, it's just so bad for them, right? Sure. Again, playing around boil. Attack them. No! No, 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 no! I misclicked. Ah. That's frustrating. We're gonna lose now. Shit, man. That sucks. I guess I have to play into boil now, which was so easy for me to play around up until now. Because we lied to Lightning Bolt or Rajani Vengeance otherwise. Oh man, I wanted to attack the Planeswalkers with this. God damn it. That sucks. That really sucks. Because now I just have to do this. Wait, do they just not have it? Well, I'm dead to boil at this point, so I might as well overextend into it just to make sure I get to kill this. We don't care too much about Wrath. Is it not better to bounce the Vesua into hand? No, because I'm going like I'd rather just have access to all the triggers, right? I guess maybe I might want to just add it anyway, but yeah. There was an argument for playing around Double Bolt, bouncing Radiant Fountain and replaying it. I fucked up that game. I deserve to lose. Sure, keep this. What is the argument to side out Dryad? My opponent's playing Boil. So I'm not going to, like, I'm just not gonna jam a Dryad on turn 3. Like, I don't want to draw a Dryad naturally. Dryad is more of a tutor target in a matchup like this, where you know that your opponent's gonna be doing everything in the, like, they're gonna be trying to leverage one of those cards. We're probably gonna have to play into Boil here. Man, my opponent had turn 2 the Flagstones. They just had that every single game somehow, which is kind of insane. Just shoot all of our basics. Yeah. All right. We play into Boil, but like if they don't have exactly Boil, this is just so good for us because we just get to kill them. So if they have Boil right now, we are pretty fucked. But now, otherwise, we just get to call for. They have it. Oh, Wrath? Oh, hell yeah. This is honestly my main argument. This is my main argument against people bringing in Boil against me. Like, my opponent is, they spend their entire turn 3, they spend 4 mana to live with my Dryad, even after I got all of my value from the Dryad. And now they are going to be top decking Boils that are going to be basically dead draws. So, like, I feel like if you want to develop a game plan where you're going to be trying to make sure that you punish me for having a Dryad, sweet. Like, bring in Boil and side out your removal, or don't use it just to trade 1-for-1 with my Dryad, you know? Because that's like directly, it's just the opposite of what you want to be doing, you know what I'm saying? So it's pretty counterproductive. But anyway, we got the 3 and 2, which is pretty cool. Toasty, Oreo, think about the follow. Our losses went to Mill, which we were not ready for, obviously. We didn't have the blessing, so we lost. So no surprises there. And then we lost to Omnath through the breach nonsense. Probably, you know, like, not the way that I would build that deck for sure, but it definitely proved... It served my opponent because they won precisely because of that, which I think is just a worse version of the current Omnath deck. Changes. I think I'm just gonna draw in another league. I could add a blessing to the sideboard if we expect Mill to be on the rise again, but yeah, I think we're gonna run it again. I'm gonna take a short break, and then we will play another league. So thank you so much for checking out the videos. If you're watching in YouTube, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, and bye bye.